Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we have my Yang blueberry and its specific name is Blue Velvet. It's a cross between Yang New Star and Violacea Indigo. I've had this orchid for a couple years now, and this is a quick clip from its last bloom cycle, just so you can kind of see how it was doing during last year's bloom cycle. Essentially, it was growing a new leaf, and it was growing quite a bit of new roots, lots of active root tips, as well as just elongation of roots within the media. And the reason I wanted to point this out was prior to last year, so the year before last year, this orchid was kind of stalling. It still bloomed, no problem, but in terms of leaf growth and root growth, I just didn't quite see enough of it. So I actually repotted it, and after the repot, this orchid really just sort of took off for a little bit. So I just wanted to give you this video clip as a reference point, and then now we're looking at the photos and video clips of this orchid's current bloom cycle. And right off the bat, it was growing a new leaf as well as putting out a new flower spike at the same time. And within the media, it was also producing a couple new roots and elongating its existing roots. So it was really a good sign for me to know this orchid is happy. The way that it's currently positioned is still kind of toward one side, because that's just how this orchid's initial leaves are, and I think over time, next repot, I will be able to better adjust so that it's growing more upright, and then eventually it'll still pen down, which I'll be fine with. This orchid, this bloom cycle gave me a total of 3 flowers. Right now you're seeing the second and third, and after some photos, I will also include a clip of its first bloom. It was one bloom first, and then it moved to this, second and third bloom here. I really enjoy this orchid because at the time, I was going through a phase of loving old blue/purple orchids, so I actually went online and really just looked for potential orchids that has that blue indigo colors. And I came across this one and just fell in love with it. And because it has Violacea indigo in its parentage, so the smell is relatively close to the smell of Violacea, but with a hint of more sweetness to it than, the Violacea's typical spiciness. It's relatively vigorous grower or reliable bloomer, but I just wish that the flower spike would be thicker, because every time I felt the need to have to stake it, because this flower spike tend to be skinny, and I think it may have to do with nutrients, so I may have to increase the fertilizer just to see if I can help this orchid grow larger leaves and thicker flower spike. Now this video clip is the first bloom that I was talking about. It was doing really well, but I think it was, at the end of winter, beginning of spring, that this orchid started to give me this bloom, and so it was just one bloom. And then later spring, when the temperature started to warm up, it decided that it would like to put out the second and third buds. In terms of care, this one is currently in an inorganic media mix, and it's the smaller pebble is hydrocorn, and the smaller pebble is manto clay, and the bigger pebble type is hydrocorn. And the ratio, I usually eyeball it. It's not very precise, but it's about 1-to-1 ratio for this one. And I did drill drainage holes at the bottom, and therefore some roots actually came out of the holes, but that's okay, no issue there. Because I double cup this orchid too, so occasionally I would purposely leave a little bit of excess water at the bottom, which the water would go through the drainage hole into the inner cup, so it kind of gives me that semi-hydro setup if I decide that, you know, maybe my humidity is lower and the temperature is higher and I want to give it a little bit more water, then that's what I do. Otherwise, I usually just let the water drip completely, drain completely, so that and until there's no drips from the container. This orchid doesn't take a whole lot of water. I usually give my other orchids 1/4 cup of water, and this orchid 1/4 cup, is a little too much, so I scale back to about 1/8. And here we have a comparison between my pulchra and blueberry. I don't know when you see this video whether I will have already published the video on pulchra, but might as well mention it here. This pulchra bloom is the first ever bloom in my channel under my care, and this is the orchid that has all I think 3 or 4 crazy keikis on its flower spike. I mean, pulchra is known for producing keikis anyway, but I just have never managed to make this orchid bloom until now, and they happen to bloom at the same time, so I put them side by side so that we can kind of see a comparison. And you can see pulchra is purple with a more warmer red tone or hues to it, and then blueberry really is more on the indigo side. And they're both kind of fragrant, so it's nice. And here we have another video clip, and it's a comparison as well. Now, Yang Blueberry is on the left in this video clip, and then on the right we also have a orchid called Blueberry, but it's Jiho variety. It's by the grower named Jiho, and then the other one is on the left is Yang Blueberry. So they were all purchased right around the same time when I was very fascinated by the purple color of orchids. But essentially, they are both really good orchid that I recommend that you should, try them out if you can manage to find them in your local area. And Yang Blueberry is a relatively easy orchid to care for. I personally would give it a 8- if I were to give it a grade. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!